Hello everybody and welcome back. This is Bora with my sixth video in a string of videos where I am reviewing Naxx speedrun tech. This one is the Four Horseman Cleave. It's one of my favorite pieces of tech. It's just fun to do. It is pretty accessible. It's got a lot of different variations that you can do. It's a big time save. However, as this overview might suggest, it is a risky piece of tech. So again, tech name being Four Horseman Cleave. The setup is super easy. Horde, Alliance, whatever, all you're doing is instead of using the four corners of the room, you're actually bringing two horses to the same corner. Is a Petri required? No. The reason that this is such high risk is because if you don't meet the DPS check, it is a raid wipe. This is actually one of the only instances of unavoidable damage. Even if you Petri, even if you're raid, you see that this is not going to happen, and you Petri, the mark damage goes through your Petri, and you will still die. It's one of the only instances of unavoidable damage in the raid. In the entire game is what I meant to say. Time save, at least 1 minute. It really depends on the strength of your raid. The fastest Four Horseman kill on record is Bricked at 108. For my guild, I think our fastest is 131. We'll talk about why theirs is so much faster than ours as we go here. But if you look at conventional Four Horseman kills, I think the fastest of mine personally, I just quickly combed my logs of a conventional kill was about 240. So I called it 1 minute here, but honestly, it can be much greater than a 1 minute save here. So let's go in here. So I'm just going to play this full speed. We're actually picking up right where we left off. We just finished the gate pulls VOD, and here we are going into Four Horseman Cleave. As always with Horde, there's actually two paths that go through here. We've dropped totems in the outer wing. You need to make sure that you redrop your totems in the room. Obviously, Alliance doesn't have to worry about that. Okay, so here we go. We're going in. So what you would normally see conventional Four Horsemen is Thane tanked in the bottom left corner, Mograine tanked in the bottom right corner, Blamo in the top left corner, and Zeliak in the top right corner. What we're going to do here is bring Thane and Mograine to the bottom left. We're going to bring Blamo to the top left, and we're going to bring Zeliak to the bottom right. Okay, so that's kind of the big difference. The Cleave, and then bring Zeliak to the bottom right, which was the conventional Mograine corner. Okay, so as you can see, my whole raid is basically pre-popped Death Wish. We're trying to do as much fucking damage as these things are clumped up as possible. So we're going to Sapper here, we're going to Whirlwind, and then we're going to let the tanks taunt and bring them to their respective corners. So you'll see everything getting separated here. So as we go here, we're starting on Thane. For no real reason, aside from they just both need to go down. So we're starting on Thane. Here's the mechanic of, I'm going to go through quite a few mechanics here, so apologies for the quick yap here. Thane has a meteor. If you get solo meteor, you're going to die. Mograine just does big damage. It's got righteous fire. It just does big tank damage, but you can single heal through it, no problem. Blamo drops a void zone. If you stand in it, you're dead. It does literally hundreds of thousands of shadow damage or whatever. You can't survive it. And then Zeliak has Holy Wrath, which is a chain. The chain can hit 4 targets, and if it hits a fifth, that fifth person is very likely going to die. So you need to keep that in mind as you're fighting Zeliak. The other mechanic that all Four Horsemen have is they shield wall at 50%, and then they shield wall again at 20%. However, their shield wall lasts for 10 seconds, and then it's on cooldown for 10 seconds. So if you can actually push it below 20% before it's off cooldown, it will not shield wall that second time, and that is a very important aspect of the time save that you see here. So as you can see, Thane just shield walled, so now we're going to swap to Mograine. So that's going to be the call. We're all starting on Thane. As soon as Thane hits 50%, swap to Mograine. Then Mograine's going to get into shield wall, so now they're both on shield wall, and the whole raid is kind of just puttering along here. Ideally, you're not using too much rage here, and so my apologies, I misspoke. The shield wall seemingly lasts more than 10 seconds, so you should definitely know that as the raid lead of a speedrun guild. Nonetheless, I've misspoke. So the shield wall, as you can see in the middle, there's a lot going on in the middle of my screen, but there's 7 seconds left on Thane's shield wall here, and we're waiting for that to go down. So again, try not to use too much rage as this is happening. So now you see 2.9 seconds left on Thane's shield wall and 7.7 on Mograine. So we're going to, as soon as, now I'm calling finish Thane. Okay, so now everybody's going balls to the wall on Thane. As you can see, perfect timing. The shield wall on Mograine has just dropped as well. Now we're finishing Mograine. Very, very important. Okay, so the other mechanic in this 4 Horseman fight is you pick up marks if you're in proximity to these horses. So because we're cleaving, we're actually picking up 2 marks at the same time. Mark 1 does 250 damage. It's nothing. Mark 2, I think, does 1,000 damage. Mark 3 does 3,000 damage. Mark 4 does 5,000 damage. So as you can imagine, because you're picking up two at the same time, Mark 3, you're taking 6,000 damage. Mark 4, you're taking 10,000 damage. After Mark 3, especially if this is going to be your first time trying this tech, you need to use a Shadow Pot after Mark 3, okay? You need to mitigate the damage that you're going to take from Mark 4. Some people, in fact, in this raid, we killed the stack so fast, we're actually not going to take a Mark 4, so it's not a great depiction of this, but nonetheless, that's the case. So the other thing that we're going to do here, as we kill Mograine, I've instructed the Blamo tank to start dragging Blamo towards us. That does 2 things. 1, it increases our uptime on Blamo. All my warriors leaving this corner are going to go straight to Blamo, so our uptime is increased. It also allows us to charge out of this corner, and hopefully we don't take that 4th mark of damage, which, again, it can just be a scary amount of raid-wide damage. There's another thing that's happening here. So because we want this whole fight to wrap up at the same time, I am one of the 2 warriors that has been assigned to go to Zeliak after the cleave. So we've actually started the fight with a tank and 3 warriors starting on Zeliak. We've started all of our casters and our hunter on Zeliak. We want to get Zeliak into shield wall as quick as possible. So, and then we want our mages to roll the ignite all the way through and hopefully prevent him from shield walling again at 20%. Unfortunately, that's not what happens in this VOD, but that's neither here nor there. Let's click play. So most of the raid is going off to Blamo to finish Blamo. What you're going to do with Blamo is just drag him all the way around the back wall towards the portal. And the safe spot in this room is going to be where you would normally tank Zeliak. So on my screen, currently in my very top left, that empty little cubby, that's going to be the safe spot. You're not going to pick up any marks in that spot. So the whole raid is going to kill Blamo. Once they've killed Blamo, they get to that safe spot. Unless Zeliak is just about to die, in which case they can just stand on the portal and you can continue on. So I'm one of the warriors who is assigned to go to Zeliak. Very important. You can see on my screen the warriors, the DPS warriors that were currently in there are now clearing out. Again, if a Holy Wrath hits all of us, somebody's dying. So they need to clear out before we come in. So you can see the relief tank, and then me and 1 other DPS warrior who have been assigned to come in and finish this boss are coming in. So we're going to charge in here. You can see Zeliak is at 23%. We're actually 1 second off from pushing his shield wall. A little bit unfortunate. You can see that he's shield walled, but it was actually 11 seconds between his 50% and 20%. So we missed the window by 1 second. No problem. I'm going to stay in here and kill the boss. So I'm actually executing here. It probably shouldn't be because he's shield walled, but I'm looking at a million things at once because I'm a better raid leader than I am player. So I'm just waiting to finish this boss. You can see Blamo's shield wall. If you saw in the middle of my screen, Blamo's shield wall has just fallen. There's 20 warriors beating down Blamo over there. Blamo's going to die, and now Zeliak's shield wall has died. I actually only have 2 stacks on me right now, so I'm pretty comfy here. You really don't want to push it too much. You don't want to take that 5th mark. It does a lot of damage, but nonetheless, I'm able to stay in here with my friend Run and my relief tank and just finish this boss. Okay, one other person has come in just to help finish it off. I did take the 4th mark, no problem, and now the fight is done. Okay, so that's 4 Horsemen. The reason I like this as one of the first pieces of tech to incorporate, and I've been giving tech letter grades, and I would also give this one an A. Despite it being high risk of a full raid wide wipe if you don't meet the DPS check, the beauty of this tech, and I've said this of other techs as well, when you can tweak things to make it a little more comfy, it actually makes it easy to incorporate into your raid. And the thing that makes this a little bit comfy is the fact that instead of starting melee on Zeliak, you can just send your tank there with the casters. Shit, you don't even have to send the casters there. You can send the casters to Cleave. Seems a little useless to me. But then you're not really saving a ton of time from it, but you still get to go through the motions. And some of this stuff actually simplifies the mechanics of the fight. Honestly, like just the rotation and the healer rotation and all that can kind of get convoluted the longer this fight drags out, and the tank rotation, all that kind of stuff. When you do this Cleave, if you want to dip your toes in the water and try this tech out for the first time, send all of your melee, obviously aside from your tanks, to the Cleave. Just make sure that Cleave gets down. And then you can go off to Blamo, and then, you start rotating DPS in. Maybe you have a very slow Zeliak kill, but at least you get to kind of feel out the mechanics, and then you can start tinkering around. So the reason Brick's kill was so fast, well, one, again, Alliance has an inherent advantage because of Salve. They don't have to worry about threat. Their mages can roll a juicy ignite without much concern. Our mages have to use a fetish. So we have just less trinket availability, all that kind of stuff, and it's just it's a little more risky to tank through. But that's not to take anything away from Bricked. Obviously 108 being an extraordinarily fast time. What they've done is actually they start their TSA group on Zeliak, and they really make sure that they get that thing into shield wall. They also send warriors to Blamo. So their fight comes together very quickly in their world record VOD, or maybe another VOD that I was watching. Blamo actually died at Mark 4, which is very impressive, considering, if you recall the VOD that we just watched, the Cleave on mine just died at Mark 3. We're meeting Blamo basically at Mark 4. What they've done is start 3 warriors at Blamo, and they just basically those 3 warriors themselves almost take down Blamo. They push them through that first shield wall, and then right at the time that first shield wall is dropping, the people that are leaving the Cleave are coming. They're pushing him through that second shield wall, so he's not going to cast it, and they're getting Blamo down very quickly. So, kudos to them, and they've obviously, kind of mastered this. I feel like across the board, Alliance times have been better here. But, again, this is tech that is easily accomplished by both Horde and Alliance. So that is the 4 Horseman Cleave. I'll see you all for Slime Skip.